Our story, Shatter, is about the British suffragettes and the true stories behind what they actually did. It's about a girl named Rosie, and she has a mother that's a suffragette, and her mother's always been interested in women's rights, but she tends to move away as she gets older, and she discovers that her mother isn't actually liked by a lot of the people in society. Women back then, if they were interested in that sort of thing, they were seen as strange or weird, and they were outcast. And she soon realised that that was going to happen to her, and she was going to have the same life patterns as her mother. Like her husband would leave her and she wouldn't be able to have kids and she'd be alone. Her only real friend is Ellen, and Ellen sort of has stuck by her since childhood, and they've been together and sort of facing the world together. The only difference is that Ellen is actually a suffragette, and she believes that women should have the vote, and she's very actively involved in that from the start. And so the story goes through a lot of the real suffragette events that actually happened. So there was a huge rally at Hyde Park. There was, thousands, hundreds of thousands of women that attended, and men as well. And it was a peaceful protest. There was like 20 speakers or something, or podiums, where all these women got up and they were talking about the issue and what they could do to combat the government. And they tend to shout phrases a lot like "votes for women." And that's sort of the first time that Rosie sees the other side, sees what they're all about, and really starts to come back to what her mother had ingrained in her for all these years. Then it goes to a couple more events. We've got Black Friday. It was basically a day where the suffragettes tried to be peacefully protesting outside Parliament House, and the police got quite violent. And so there was a 6-hour brawl or something outside the Parliament House, and a few of the suffragettes actually died from their injuries a couple of days later. The suffragettes also were taken to jail, and a lot of them protested by not eating, by going on hunger strike. They were then force fed because the government didn't want them to die in custody. There's a couple of real people who also appear in the story. So we have Emmeline Pankhurst and we have Emily Davison, and they're both really prominent suffragettes in history. A lot of people might have already heard about them before. One of them, Emmeline, she was the leader of the Women's Social Political Union, and Emily Davison was that woman who was hit by a horse. That everyone sort of tends to know that story when you talk about the suffragettes. She ran out onto the track at the Epsom Derby, and she was run over and died a couple of days later from her injuries, and she was trying to put a suffragette banner onto the King's horse. So we've put that in our show because we just feel like it's right to honour those stories and to teach our kids about the stories as well. The rest of the story just sort of shows Rosie becoming a suffragette and realising that that's who she wants to be, and breaking through metaphorical glass, I suppose, in society, but also her own glass. And we've explored the idea of being boxed in by what society expects of you, but also what you expect of yourself because of society. And she breaks through that, and it's sort of the journey of how she comes to do that and the things that she has to sacrifice on the way to get there, but also the rewards that come from doing that.